Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today I will analyze the case of Ryan Shtuka. First, I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the incident, then offer my analysis. Ryan John Marcus Shuka was born on March 17, 1997, and lived in Beaumont, Alberta, Canada. This is 21 miles south of Edmonton. He was raised by his parents, Scott and Heather Shuka. He had two younger sisters, Jordan and Juliana. Ryan was described as sarcastic, funny, dependable, and well-adjusted. He graduated from high school in 2015 and attended college for a year. On December 1, 2017, Ryan departed his home in a Volkswagen Jetta and drove 9 hours southwest to the Sun Peaks Resort. This is located in the village of Sun Peaks in British Columbia, Canada, about 36 miles northeast of Kamloops. The resort is built around 3 mountains and contains hotels, restaurants, condominiums, rental homes, bars, shops, and ski lift facilities. Sun Peaks receives about 18 feet of snow per year and features 6.2 square miles of skiable terrain. Ryan's plan was to work at the resort. He had secured a position at the Tube Park, which he could keep until the season was over on April 1, 2018. So Ryan's position was scheduled to last for 5 months. His job was basic. He helped resort visitors get on and off tubes and push them down the slope. He worked Tuesday through Saturday from 11:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. and earned about $11.50 an hour. Ryan was one of many young seasonal employees to work at Sun Peaks. Working at the resort is generally considered a fun experience for young people and can involve activities like socializing, partying, skiing, and other outdoor activities. Ryan had a dream of spending every day snowboarding. As an employee, he was given a ski pass for the entire season. Arguably, alcohol and drug use was normalized for at least some of the seasonal workers. The drinking age there was 19. This meant that Ryan, who was 20, could consume alcohol legally there. Ryan did not make the trip to Sun Peaks alone. A friend of his named James, who was also from Beaumont, went with him. Ryan and James lived in a rented house on Sun Peaks Road, along with 4 other seasonal workers. The house was across the street from the resort staff accommodations. It appeared as though Ryan had adjusted fairly well to the environment and was having a good time in Sun Peaks. He was offered a supervisory role, which came with a 75-cent per hour raise, but he turned it down because he did not want to take on additional responsibility. It seemed clear that Ryan was at the resort primarily to snowboard and party. Now moving to the timeline of the incident. On Friday, February 16, 2018, 20-year-old Ryan Shtuka completed his shift at the Tube Park at 7 p.m. and returned to his rented house. Later that evening, Ryan and his friend James decided to go out with 2 of the roommates, Chris and Kristen, who were romantically involved. The group of 4 traveled to a bar called Bottom's Bar and Grill, where they participated in a silent disco. This is where participants use headphones to listen to music played by a DJ. Everybody listens to the same music, but all the music is played through those headphones. A photograph of Ryan wearing headphones was taken at the party. This was the last photograph of him that was ever taken. At around 1 a.m., Ryan and his friends left Bottom's Bar and Grill and started walking back to their home. The temperature that night was somewhere around -4 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was snowing. The walk normally took about 20 or 25 minutes. Under those conditions, walking resembled a poorly planned survival exercise. As it turns out, the group was spared from this walk. A shuttle bus stopped and picked them up, as well as several other people, and drove them toward the staff housing accommodations. The shuttle dropped them off near the fire hall, about 1,200 feet from the house Ryan and his friends rented. Instead of walking home, the group of 4 decided to go to a rented house on Burfield Drive, which was a well-known party destination. On occasion, alcohol and drug use occurred inside this house. From where they were dropped off, the walk to the party house was the same distance as the walk home, 1,200 feet. Not long after arriving at the party, James became bored and left. His destination was the rented house on Sun Peaks Road. The straight-line distance between the party house and home was only about 700 feet, but it was not possible to walk directly there due to a wooded drainage gully separating the houses. There were two possible routes that could be used to get home. The easiest route was to turn left, walk to the end of the street, then take a path on the left that leads back to the house. This route was about 2,300 feet. The other route was to turn right from the party house, walk to the end of the street, turn right on a footbridge, and then turn right. This route was just a little bit longer, 2,400 feet. 100 feet longer may not seem like a big deal, but the route also featured poor lighting that offered increased opportunities for an unplanned wilderness exploration adventure. James started by turning right out of the party house, then realized his error, turned around, and took the easy way home. He arrived back at the house on Sun Peaks Road, greeted the other roommates who lived there, and went to bed for the night. At about 2:10 a.m., now on Saturday, February 17, 2018, Ryan's roommates Chris and Kristen left the party house on Burfield Drive. One other person who was at the party also left with them. As the group of three was walking out, they saw Ryan stand up. It appeared as though he was putting on his coat. The group walked out of the door and turned left, taking the easier route home. They looked behind them to see if Ryan was following, but no one was on the street. They assumed that Ryan was walking slowly or had decided to remain in the house on Burfield Drive for a while longer. Ryan never arrived at the rented house on Sun Peaks Road, and he did not show up to work at the tube park. He was reported missing at 8:47 p.m. on Saturday, February 17, 2018. The authorities conducted a search of the area, including the entirety of the two possible routes Ryan could have taken home. They did not find any sign of Ryan. No one had any idea what happened to him. Sometime after his disappearance, a person came forward and said they may have seen Ryan at 1:55 a.m. on the day he disappeared. They saw a man wearing a blue jacket walking toward the town center. The witness did not see the man's face. This is a curious sighting because it was believed that Ryan did not depart the party house on Burfield Drive until 2:10 a.m. Perhaps his departure time was incorrect, or the witness had the wrong time. There is one piece of evidence suggesting that Ryan may have left earlier than people thought. There were 4 people in the party house who took a photograph of themselves at 1:37 a.m. Ryan was not in that photograph. This certainly does not prove that he left prior to the photograph, but if he did, he could have made it to the area of the sighting by 1:55 a.m. In the years since Ryan's disappearance, several searches have been conducted, but there has been no success. No items connected to Ryan have ever been found, not any of his clothing, not his cell phone, nothing at all. His cell phone last connected to the network in Sun Peaks at 3 a.m. on the day he disappeared, but it is not clear exactly where it was located. At the time I am making this video, Ryan Shtuka remains missing. Now moving to my analysis. There are 5 theories about what happened to Ryan Shtuka. Theory number 1, he became disoriented, wandered off into the wilderness surrounding the village, and died from exposure. Theory number 2, he walked into the wilderness intentionally with the purpose of bringing an end to his own life through exposure. Theory number 3, Ryan never actually died. This was all an elaborate hoax designed with the purpose of starting a new life somewhere else with a new identity. Theory number 4, in the party house on Burfield Drive, Ryan overdosed, died from an accidental injury, or was killed. People in the house concealed his body. Under this theory, Ryan never exited the house. He never started the trip home. And theory number 5, Ryan exited the party house and was killed on his walk home. Perhaps he was struck by a motor vehicle. The motorist then hit his body to escape the consequences of killing him. Let's take a look at each of these theories in detail. Theory number 1, the accidental death theory, is a strong theory because it does not require any bad actors, not even Ryan himself. His death was simply an accident. Dying from exposure in harsh environments is not unusual. Ryan would not have been the first person to suffer this fate. Both the party house and the rented house where Ryan lived were positioned at the edge of the village. To the west and to the south, there was nothing but wilderness. The village was to the east, and ski slopes were to the north. If Ryan wandered west or south, he could have found himself lost and in serious trouble very quickly. The clothing he was wearing was not sufficient for the temperature. It was somewhere around -4 degrees Fahrenheit that night, and he was dressed in jeans, a light jacket, running shoes, and a baseball cap. Ryan had consumed alcohol at various points during the night, and he may also have used illegal drugs. His friend James, who left the party earlier, initially walked along the difficult route before turning around. Maybe Ryan made the same mistake, except he never realized that he was on the more difficult route. Theory number 2 indicates that Ryan deliberately walked into the wilderness. This would explain why no sign of Ryan was ever found, because he would have pushed far into the wilderness intentionally. The problem with this theory is that there was no indication that Ryan wanted to make an exit from this world. He was not in Sun Peaks as a result of a personal or existential crisis. He was there to have fun. By all accounts, he was having the time of his life. There was no indication that he was unhappy or in distress. Theory number 3, the new life theory, would also explain why Ryan was never found. This is what he wanted. His plan was to run away and start over. The problem here is that starting a new life is extremely difficult. Ryan did not have access to the resources to acquire new identification and conduct other fraudulent acts that would be necessary to reinvent himself as a new person. This would be difficult even for a master criminal with identity theft experience. Ryan was a law-abiding citizen who recently declined a supervisory position. Theory number 4 suggests that somebody in the party house could have killed Ryan, or he died in some other way, like an overdose or an accidental injury. The occupants of the house then concealed his body. There are various versions of this theory, like Ryan had an argument with someone, or he was a drug dealer. The 2 roommates and the one other person who left the party right before Ryan never actually saw him exit the party house, so it is possible he remained there for a while after their departure. The difficulty with this theory is that after the roommates and the other person departed, other people entered the party house. The party was not over. If someone in the house concealed Ryan's body, why would they allow new people to enter? The occupants of the house were young and may have been using substances. It is very unlikely they could have maintained a conspiracy throughout a police investigation. At least one of them would have cracked under the pressure and told the police what happened. Ryan may have been spotted walking toward the town center. If that sighting was credible, then he left the party house alive. Moving to the last theory, number 5, this one suggests that Ryan was killed after leaving the party house. The most popular version of this theory is that a motorist, who may have been intoxicated, struck and killed Ryan. They concealed his body out of fear of going to prison. Other people have been struck by motor vehicles at night in Sun Peaks. For instance, a man was seriously injured about 2.5 years before Ryan's disappearance when he was struck by a small pickup truck in a hit and run. The challenge for this theory is that the 2 possible routes Ryan would have taken did not involve much exposure to a road where people would be driving at high speeds. Even if he did wander onto a more dangerous road, like Sun Peaks Road, no evidence of a hit and run was ever found. When considering the 5 theories about what happened to Ryan, how would I rank them from most to least probable? In my opinion, theory number 1, Ryan wandered off accidentally and died from exposure, is the most likely explanation for his disappearance. After that, I would go with theory number 5, the hit and run. Theory number 2, he intentionally walked into the wilderness. Theory number 4, he died inside the party house and his body was concealed. And finally, theory number 3, he left to start a new life. I think the lesson learned in this case involves avoiding alcohol and drugs, dressing appropriately for the weather, and not walking alone in dangerous conditions. Ryan placed himself in a vulnerable position through substance use, extreme cold, inadequate clothing, and a late-night walk. Somewhere between the party house and his destination, a wrong turn became fatal. The final chapter of Ryan's story became lost in the darkness surrounding Sun Peaks. Those are my thoughts in the case of Ryan Shtuka. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.